News Radio KMAN weather.
Right now in Manhattan, overcast with 59. Going into tonight, showers and thunderstorms are likely with a 50% chance and cloudy skies with a low of around 50. Going into tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, then becoming sunny later in the afternoon with a high near 66. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies and a low around 46. Wednesday, sunny skies with a high near 68 with winds gusting to the southeast around 5 miles per hour. Up next, Wildcat Insider on KMAN Radio.
Weather on News Radio KMAN is brought to you by Sunset Zoo. Purchase your tickets for Boo at the Zoo happening the 24th through the 26th at sunsetzoo.com.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. This is Wildcat Insider with the Mercury sports editor Tim Everson and KMAN sports director Mitch Fortner.
Well, where to begin? 14-point lead. Less than 10 minutes to go, fourth quarter. K-State blows the lead. Comes down to whose kicker can make a 50-plus yard field goal. K-State's, theirs gets blocked with 5 seconds to go. There's a pick six in there. Just botches all around with goal to go. With about 2 minutes to go, K-State with the ball for the go-ahead score. They say it was there, but was it really there? Was it really there? We'll talk about it. Welcome to Wildcat Insider. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson from the Manhattan Mercury and PowerCat Game Day. Across the glass, we have Gavin Hyatt and Colt Dutchendorf with us today. Guys, I would love to hear your opinions. I really would. 785-537-1350. You can call or text us, and I've noticed people are more comfortable with texting, but if you do want to call in, that's perfectly fine. Again, the phone number is 785-537-1350. Questions, comments, whatever you want to ask, whatever you want to say, come on in. And Wyatt Thompson will be joining us at 5:10. I actually recorded with him earlier today at Veneer, our interview, because he's hosting the KEB Awards later on today right here in Manhattan. He's going to let me know if I won anything. So
all right.
It's very nice of him.
There you go.
I mean, the list of winners have been out for months, but I have no clue if I won anything. Shows you how much I love the KEB Awards. I will not be there tonight. I got to figure out how K-State can get this thing turned around. I feel like I need to step up a little bit, do what I can here on the radio, talk him into let's get some dubs. But halfway through, the season is now halfway done, folks. 6 games are done. Started August 23rd in Dublin, Ireland. It's now October 6th. K-State has played half of its regular season, and they're 2-4. They're 2-4.
Want to hear something scary?
Go ahead.
They got to win 4 of the next 6 to even make a bowl game.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's like obvious math
I had to do
when
the
you
math.
think about it.
I had to calculate. I was like, that's math I haven't done in forever.
But
Feels
yeah,
like 10
like
years.
that is that includes the Saturday versus TCU. That includes going to Lawrence. That includes Texas Tech coming to town. That includes going to Stillwater against a terrible Oklahoma State team that K-State hasn't been able to beat in Stillwater in a little while.
7?
Yeah, it's
8
been
years. 8 years.
It's been a while, and they also going to Utah. I think you maybe feel the best about Colorado coming to Manhattan at the very end of the year. That's probably the one that you feel the best about. But even then, that has its own perils. So it's not great. There was kind of a fork in the road with this Baylor game. I think it was either
Swing game for
sure.
Yeah.
You win, you're right back in it. You feel good. You feel like you're still competing to make it to Arlington. As realistic or not as that is at least what the math says. And you lose now, and yeah, you're playing the how many games do we need to win to make a bowl game that K-State fans haven't had to play for a while.
Who was the Eagle that did the song for Beverly Hills Cop? The heat is on.
Glenn Fry.
Glenn Fry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the heat's on, folks. Chris Kleiman press conference earlier today. I mean, the tone was good. I mean, sticking up for the team, yes, but he's wearing it on his sleeve. Well aware of the heat. He's going to take it all. That's his job. That's his role to be the leader of this club. And he is going to lead by example by taking that head on and still working towards the future and trying to get that right. But the truth is, though, the people, they don't want to hear that. They do want accountability, which first text that just came in here, time to bitch Avery Johnson, absolutely not.
What?
That is, Avery's one of the least of our worries right now. Avery just had one of his best games ever as a Wildcat.
Career game passing.
And he did make one mistake. Look, I gotta call balls and strikes here. It's more from the coaching, I think, than anything for Avery. I can only speculate so far. Like, one of the things I wanted to talk about is, again, and this is in the first half, we saw Avery throw some short passes. It looked like just some basic checkdowns in third down situations, like a 3rd down and 6, 3rd down and 7, when the defense was forcing turnovers, getting K-State the ball back after Baylor looked, at times dangerous, like they were going to score. K-State got some takeaways. They set up the offense to just completely take over the game, and then the ball gets taken out of Avery's hands. The Blake Barnett package comes into play, which I did not like it whatsoever, coming off the best opening drive of the season, where K-State was in charge. They were playing K-State football. The running game was working without Dylan Edwards. The blocking was good. Avery scores on a 30-plus yard touchdown run. K-State hadn't started out that well, not even close this season. And then you take the ball out of Avery's hands. Blake Barnett fumbles on the first play, and then he stays in. That right away told me that K-State, their offense was completely out of rhythm at that point. And it was taken out of rhythm by decisions not made by Avery Johnson. He's being told what to do. I thought he executed for the most part at a very high level. He did miss some throws. The big mistake, and he basically said it after the game. It was like, the offense did this and that, but my interception cost us the game. There's no way he can enjoy anything that he did because his one mistake was the pick six that gave Baylor the lead. And I definitely want to also talk about that play a little bit later on. But if you ask me where K-State lost the game, Mitch, where did K-State lose the game? Was it on the blocked field goal? Was it the defense getting picked apart on a handful of drives there at the end, holding Baylor to that field goal or whatever? I go back to the first half where K-State had a chance to pounce because blood in the water like that has been few and far between. For K-State to have these opportunities the defense is stepping up. They're making play after play after play, some bend but don't break situations, and they're getting you the ball back without conceding points other than that opening field goal, which was a great job by them just to hold Baylor to a field goal. The offense doesn't execute. You're seeing passes well short of a first down where the tight ends are supposed to catch and fight for a first down. There's no room to do that, and they're not showing any fight to do that. I think coaching is coming into play. That was the sequence of the game that made me want to pull my hair out the most because it was so poorly scripted. And I think that cost K-State the game. I got to call balls and strikes. Matt Wells took K-State out of that game, took away their momentum. Now, don't get me wrong, because they did figure it out at the end of the half. It's almost like the offense is better when they got to put pedal to the metal, when they have to go get points, when they need to go make a play, when things are getting a little bit tense, well, then they step up. At least I think they've done so the last couple of weeks. And we've seen other examples of that. Mm-hmm. But there was a stretch of 4 straight drives where K-State put points on the board. It was almost like Matt Wells, I think he's figuring it out. There was some great play designs, great execution. Avery was looking really good. K-State looked a bit unstoppable at times. Will Ancio had a hell of a catch. Like, they were fighting for these points. And then it just goes away again. And K-State's momentum, but it's more the first half for me. The first half, those 3 drives where K-State had 21 yards on 3 drives, 0 points after the defense was playing their tails off to get you the ball back, was inexcusable.
I agree. And then, that even when it seemed like they had figured some things out offensively, that was always kind of in the back of my mind that, could have been a 14-point swing there if they had scored off that. Also, another time where the defense came through and the offense didn't. There was that turnover on downs in the late third quarter.
Baylor, when they overshot it to the end zone. Yeah.
Yep. And once again, I think 5 plays later, they had to punt it away. Just huge, misstep. So it's. I was talking to someone and they were like, it doesn't feel as bad because it feels like they're trying. That's true. This loss would not be a sky is falling, season in jeopardy type loss that it kind of is if it weren't for the 3 other losses that came before it. You put yourself in this position where you had to win this game. And the fact that you definitely could have, and you didn't, is what makes the whole thing so frustrating.
Just wanted to give a caller a shout. He agreed with what you said, Mitch. The game was lost when 0 points were scored on those first 2 turnovers that K-State got in that first half. That was when the tides really turned for Baylor.
Well, and I just saw K-State wasn't put in a good spot to succeed. You took the ball out of your best playmaker's hands. Dylan Edwards is banged up. I mean, Jace Brown, he didn't really show up. Like, the ball didn't go into his direction at all until I'm going to blank. It just wasn't around. It certainly wasn't around that time. What you had going was Joe Jackson was playing his tail off. K-State was moving the ball at will. Like, if that was a fully scripted first drive, well done. It was well done. After that, it just wasn't the right spot to go Blake Barnett. That was a spark last week. But to just go back to the same thing on the second drive like you did the previous week against UCF without really a different wrinkle to it, it was pretty easy to stop. But the thing is, though, for me with the Blake Barnett package, he fumbled on the first play. I think you got to move on from that point on. He did make a play later in the game. He picked up a first down, and I will give him credit for that. But you got to let Avery then on that next play try to get things back on track because that was a vulnerable spot. That was a chance to build some of the best momentum K-State has had on offense all season long. Coming into the game, K-State was averaging 1.5 points per first quarter. 1.5 points per first quarter. One of the worst numbers in the country, as you can imagine. And to go get a touchdown, how do you build upon that again? I don't take the ball out of Avery's hands. First of all, if you're needing a spark or you need the short distance, you need a short gain, because we're not seeing Blake Barnett pass it yet. I didn't like the move. And I know hindsight is 20/20. I didn't like it at the beginning. I was thinking to myself, once after that first play happened and Blake fumbles it, let's move on. Let's get back to Avery. Let's see if we could get this back on track. Well, you're seeing a little dink and dunks. It wasn't just also the passes to the tight ends that were just such short yardage where there's no room to go, these short out routes. I mean, there was a third down play where they go check down basically on a wheel route to Joe Jackson, and it wasn't there. Avery did a great job, I thought, on the first possession of going through the progressions. It was even called out in the broadcast where he was definitely doing his job better. And I got to give him a shout-out for that. It was much better. Then we just settle back into some old habits of not playing to the sticks. Avery can't get off the first read, which is just one of those short out routes to a tight end, and there's no going through the motions or going through the progressions. This team just keeps falling back into old habits and not playing a full 60 minutes, not even close. Not even close. I want to move on, though. Like, that's just one phase of this game, or one, segment of the game that, this was actually a very, honestly, crazy game. Because I think for both fan base, look, the first half of that game, it was almost like they played, both K-State and Baylor played their games exactly they've been doing previously. The same good things, the same bad things. It had to be annoying and also kind of great at the same time for both fan bases, but probably more annoying because both teams did things that kept points off the board for themselves or, kept them from benefiting by making their own mistakes. But Baylor was kind of stinking on defense. Bryson Washington's banged up. He's not 100%, but he's trying to give it a go. K-State gets in their own ways offensively. Yeah. And Sawyer Robertson turns over they turned it over a couple times. That was one of my keys of the game. Turnovers. Because Baylor's going to turn it over. They're kind of bad at turning over the football. The offense doesn't take advantage. So that was basically the first half. There was a little bit of clock management that I did not like from K-State. There was a play in plus territory where they did not get the first down. Well, K-State has timeouts to use. You're under 30 seconds to go, and K-State does not use a timeout. That was, honestly, when it comes to the actual time management portion of this game, maybe the instance I was upset with the most, because I don't understand why you wouldn't take a timeout. Just simple as that. Why do you not take a timeout there? K-State was bailed out because of a 15-yard penalty on Baylor. Yeah. They got bailed out, and K-State then executes and gets a touchdown to, was it Oakley? That scored a touchdown, and K-State evens it up 17 apiece. You go into the locker rooms, and by God, it couldn't have been more scripted by the way these two teams playing this year than that first half. The ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, it was all over the place for both teams. Let's take a break because then we have the second half to talk about. And the second half had all that as well. K-State scoring. The offense makes mistakes, the lack of execution defensively. How much are they then? Are they to blame for this loss for K-State? We'll talk more about the loss to Baylor in a moment. You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
My name is Heidi Dixon. Mom, Jackie Wolf, was the patient of interim hospice. I live in Texas, and after Mom got on hospice, when I came back to Texas, interim was a huge lifeline for me in terms of information. Maria, the social worker, was a dream. Going every other week, sharing a picture and what Mom was doing and what was she saying and what was she looking forward to. And she brought us right into the room with Mom. And she said when she was planning to go next, and as a hospice worker in Texas, I was asking our social workers, are we doing this? This is amazing. She was so engaged with Mom and so connected the dots for us. That was invaluable. Aside from Mom's increasing comfort with the pain management provided by hospice, the social work connection and support, those were the two most visible benefits that I continue to be exceedingly grateful for.
We care, we're there, interim health care.
Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show comes to your radio every Friday morning at 10 a.m. We will discuss timely gardening and landscape topics to help you keep your lawn and garden in tip-top shape. Blueville Nursery has been your local landscape service and garden store for over 50 years, and we want to share our time-tested techniques with you. From vegetable gardening, spring and summer annuals, to shade trees and lawn care, we'll cover it all. You're welcome to call into the show to ask questions that apply to your own landscape or garden. Stay tuned to Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. right here on News Radio KMAN.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. After parting ways with a Hall of Fame quarterback, some teams wander the football desert for decades hoping to find the next one. The Broncos stumbled through the post-Elway wilderness before landing on Peyton Manning. As for the Patriots, the post-Tom Brady drought might have lasted all of 5 seasons. Drake May looks like the real deal. The second-year quarterback out of North Carolina has that rare blend of arm strength, poise, athleticism, and he looks like he belongs. On Sunday night against the undefeated Bills, he turned that potential into proof. Facing a ferocious pass rush, a raucous primetime stage, he was nearly flawless in the second half, 13 of 14 for 184 yards. Now, too early to etch his name outside Foxborough, but if last night was any indication, the Patriots' search for their next franchise quarterback might already be over, and the Drake May era has officially begun. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
The Cats play on News Radio KMAN.
To the 10, 5, to the goal line, touchdown, Dylan Edwards.
This is the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson. Join me, Stan Weber, and Matt Walters for every game this K-State football season as the Cats challenge for a Big 12 title. Coverage begins 4 hours before kickoff with PowerCat Game Day on the flagship of the K-State Sports Network, News Radio KMAN.
What a play for the Wildcats!
I'm Gavin Hyatt with a Wildcat Insider Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. Kansas State saw Baylor's Caden Jenkins block a 56-yard field goal attempt by Luis Rodriguez with 5 seconds remaining, and the Wildcats suffered another narrow loss with a 35-34 defeat at McLean Stadium. Avery Johnson completed 29 of 45 passes for 339 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, and he added 10 carries for 72 yards and 1 score. But his standout performance was overshadowed by a valiant comeback from Baylor, which stormed back from a 31-17 deficit to take the lead on a Connor Hawkins 53-yard field goal with 31 seconds left, ultimately giving the Wildcats their 4th one-score loss in a frustrating season. Praying through a persistent rain for majority of the second half, K-State held strong and worked out a 0-0 draw at UCF on Sunday afternoon at the UCF Soccer and Track Complex. With the shutout, K-State has set the school record for shutouts in the season when it's 7th. Despite being listed as questionable with ankle and shoulder designations on the Kansas City Chiefs injury report on Sunday, wide receiver Xavier Worthy is expected to play tonight as the 2-2 Chiefs travel to Florida to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday Night Football. The game kicks off at 7:15 tonight with pregame at 6 on News Radio KMAN.
All right, Wildcat Insider continues. Mitch Fortner and Tim Everson with me in studio. Phone number 785-537-1350. Already had a couple of texts, a phone call. Your thoughts on K-State football after the loss to Baylor on the road, 35-34. Gavin, if you don't mind, put on a headset and get ready to talk on the microphone here because I wanted to ask. So you were at the game, right?
Yes. Yep.
How many people do you think was there? Because it looked, I could tell that fans were like underneath, they were in the shade.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few people were. There was a decent K-State section there, but I don't know how big, McLean Stadium, 50, 60,000. How many people do you think were there?
I would say it was definitely less than 20,000. I would say in the 15 to 18,000 range. The top deck was pretty much completely empty.
How hot was it?
It was hot. It was mid-80s, and going into the stadium, I would have to say, was really fun to go in, walking across the bridge there, but it's just the atmosphere when you walked in. It was very dead. You could tell until the fourth quarter, the fans started to get into it, but the little amount they had, there was a little bit of noise, but there wasn't much.
So not really a home field advantage, other than K-State has to do the traveling. It's hot. It's warmer down there than it was here. But at least, K-State had the week to prepare for the warm weather. We had warmer weather here, so I don't really consider that, really an excuse. K-State was trying to rotate guys in, and I mean, at times I thought, what the hell is this personnel? What are we doing here? No offense. Isaac Cook was in on that third down play where K-State had goal to go, under 2 minutes to go, and I believe he was the only wide receiver on the field. I'd have to go double check, but no Jace, no Tibbs. Jamie Bradley, who was not on the availability report.
Played like 3 snaps.
Two plays. Two plays. One of them was on Avery's pick 6. And it looked like that's maybe where we go next, like the pivotal plays in the second half, because I do want to give K-State, the offense a ton of credit because they came out of the locker room and played some really solid offense. And the defense was once again getting some stops. Baylor punted on 2 straight possessions. They turn over on downs on the next possession where they went 60 yards, did not get any points. So there you go again. What we would hope for in the first half didn't happen, but in the second half, the defense is getting stops. The offense is putting points on the board. 4 straight possessions for the offense, and 3 of them, 2 of them in the second half, 2 of them in the third quarter, but it ended the second half with 10 straight points and then 14 straight points on touchdowns, and you had a 97-yard drive in there. I mean, when K-State took the 31-17 lead with maybe a couple of minutes to go in the third quarter, we all had to be feeling pretty good. Like, K-State's the better team. We've got the momentum. It's the momentum we should have had in the first half, and maybe if K-State did have it, it's not a 14-point lead we're talking about in the third quarter. It's a 28-point lead. Yeah. And Baylor has no shot to come back. But then things change a little bit as we get to the fourth quarter, and again, K-State has been very bad at closing out games. Maybe that's the one thing that K-State is having the biggest trouble with, crossing the hurdle, in that when it's gut check time, K-State's missing that grit. They're missing the answer on how to win close football games because, Tim, K-State has now lost another 1-score game, which is their 4th of the year.
Yeah, fourth of the year. Look, it's happened maybe more than you would think, but it's still, and in the history of K-State football going back to 1898, I think, was the first year. K-State has...
They're playing Fort Riley and
Fort Riley
High
twice.
School and
K-State has lost 4 one-score games 9 times. 9 times.
And we're halfway through this season.
When was
the last time?
2023, actually.
It wasn't that long ago.
So not that long ago. 2018, 2017, 2003. Notable year. And then 1985, 1981, 1977, and 1957.
We got this text in. What about the time management in the fourth quarter? Not on the last drive, the 2 prior to that. Okay, so there would have been the pick 6, and then there would have been the field goal. That would have been after the 2-minute timeout. That put K-State up 2 points, 34-32. With you're begging the defense to finally get a stop, which we haven't even talked really about. The defense quite yet. I'd mentioned earlier that my biggest issue with time management was at the end of the first half. My thoughts on the drive that K-State threw the pick 6. Let's see, I'm trying to make sure I'm not getting my plays mixed up. So K-State, I believe, if I remember correctly, K-State was coming up with some clutch third down plays. K-State had third and longs, and they had multiple of those. Avery was nails, plays in the middle of the field, just zipping the ball where the guys are running to the sticks, right? Or you also had the dump to Jace Brown where he's wide open. He comes back and helps out wide open after an Avery scramble, who he had to do a pretty fine job of keeping plays alive, gets it to the first down. K-State was almost all game, though, going prior to the third downs, running on first down, right? Real first down, run-heavy team in Waco. Earlier in the game, I had a problem with. At this portion of the game, I didn't have a problem with. You have the lead, clock You're playing the clock game a little bit, but you also want to go get a strike and build your lead. So you're kind of playing two games at once. But really it came down to that play where Avery threw the pick six. And it's a first down play, first of all. You're in plus territory, or you're right there around the middle of the field. And there's a lot that actually happened on that play. There's two breakdowns. One, Avery doesn't see the corner blitz, does not pick up on it. And that's coming from the blind side. It was a great dial up there by Baylor. And two, Andrew Langang gets eaten alive by the pass rush. He's had a really bad last couple of games, has Andrew Langang. So Avery had pressure coming from both sides. I'm not sure if he would have been able to scramble out of that. If he did and went backwards, there is a pretty good chance that he's going to lose a lot more yards than just what he was going to be sacked for. He decides to get rid of the football. Dron Tibbs ran a horrible route. He goes with the in route, runs right to the safety, doesn't even know the ball is coming, and the safety jumps the route. It was a complete mess. Yeah, J.B. Bradley also in there in the game, and, this is a championship play. I say championship play, championship rounds where you're in the final moments and somebody has to go make plays. J.B.'s only in his second play of the game. Looks like he was running a go route. He was going to be open. But if Tibbs did the same thing with the defender playing inside, you probably have a home run ball. I think Avery maybe panicked a little bit, which he's done so in his past, where the game is coming down to a few minutes left. The pressure is coming. Either throws an inaccurate pass or in traffic, and he throws an interception. But I didn't like K-State passing the ball in the first place on first down. That's my take.
No, I 100% agree. With a lot of these things, it's tough because it is easy to say that after the fact. If that play had been completed, we wouldn't be talking about it. Whatever.
K-State has a phenomenal opportunity at that point to go win the game. Baylor had some. I thought they had some clock management issues as well. But go ahead, finish your thought.
No, you're absolutely right. There's a little under 5 minutes to play when that interception is thrown. What's stopping you? I don't understand. I understand that they just got done with a less than 30-second 3-play blitz that ended in a touchdown. And so there was some pressure on you to go and score again because you know that they're capable of doing that again. And I get that and I understand that. But at the same time, and it's the same problem I have the next drive, whenever we get into the goal line, man,
go ahead. If you want to go there.
Milk the clock, man. Do some, just a little bit. We're reaching the point. 5 minutes left. You can take, running 3 times. You can get almost 2 minutes off the clock or more, or you can take away their timeouts. Do something. I think Cole has
Good, Cole.
And my unconventional thought was, and I kind of workshopped this with Mitch and Wyatt earlier, was on the next drive after that, when you're trying to put some points on the board following the interception, after the Jace Brown catch and penalty, I think they probably could have thought about declining that penalty, taking the ball at the 30. You have more room to pick up a couple of first downs and just end the game on a field goal attempt within the 20-yard line. That's tough in hindsight. If they just score a touchdown, probably not talking about that either. But whittle the clock down, and you're not even going to give Baylor the chance to have the ball again the rest of the game. And again, that's unconventional thinking, and people are probably like, what? Why are you declining a 15-yard penalty? But that's something else that I think they could have been thinking about. Another card.
Where was K-State after the you're
15.
talking about the play when Jace had his helmet ripped off.
Yes.
Which is another thing we need to talk about. Yeah, I don't know. That would have been just some extreme thinking outside the box if I mean, I'm not sure you have a place on your card or in your mind.
Just where I go to when I'm thinking about every single possibility, and then you get it. And they picked up, to their credit, they ran a couple of really solid plays on first down from the 15-yard line. They get like 6 yards on first down. They pick up the first down on the very next play, so it's a goal to go at the 4. And don't get me wrong, execute well, and you're going to score a touchdown. They had a touchdown. It was thanks to you miss a block, to what Kleiman's point was. And you just missed the throw, you missed the block, you missed the read, everything. They still could have scored a touchdown and put it to at least a 6-point game. Could have been a 7-point game with a 2-point conversion. But, yeah, it's just a lot of things to go through in that sequence.
The last couple of drives, I mean, this comes down to, again, the theme of the season. It's been on everybody. It's been on coaching. It's been on execution. It all comes to come together in a couple of bad moments, and it cost K-State the game. Again, to your point, it's very interesting to think about it. I would have never expected them to do it. I never even thought about it. But it's interesting. I'll probably just kind of leave it at that. I'm not sure if I have an answer, if I'd rather go one way or the other. I like K-State being a lot closer to the end zone, don't get me wrong, and a chance to go score and get guaranteed points. The field goal's a lot easier. I know Luis had been money, but again, the field goal's a lot easier. It's really a gimme at that point when you're at the 15-yard line. And don't forget, I mean, Joe Jackson had a fantastic run to set up 1st and goal, and you're now under 3 minutes to go. Let's get into that, though. The goal to go, and I want to hear from Kleiman. This was after the game. He was asked a question about running on a first down and then 2nd and 3rd down with goal to go with under 2 minutes to play. Baylor with 2 timeouts. They decided to throw the ball. Here was Coach and his thoughts after the game.
We talked about what our 2nd down call was, what our 3rd down call was. We had the 2nd down call. They dropped coverage on somebody across the middle, but the blitz came so fast. And I was going to kick myself if we didn't get any points out of that. And we thought we'd get the score on 3rd down, and we didn't. And Wells and I talked. And if we had been at the 2, we probably would have, but it was back at the 4.
Okay, call me different. But I wasn't all furious about K-State throwing it on 2nd down. I don't mind playing the playing to win mentality.
I agree.
Because K-State is up, they're down a point. They're trying to score a touchdown. They're going to go for a 2-point conversion. You're forcing Baylor to go get a touchdown, right? K-State had been really actually pretty decent in the game. They allowed 3 touchdowns in the game, and Baylor's one of the best offenses in the Big 12. They've been more winning than not winning. Let's put it that way in this game. I don't really blame the defense a whole lot for this loss. But if you break down the 2nd down play, and this goes back to, I've been saying this for weeks, and what has really driven me crazy ever since he has said that he is Matt Wells, K-State offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, where he has taught Avery on the first read, if it's there, take it every time. And I swear, I am seeing Avery more often than not too glued to that first guy. So case in point, again, that 2nd down play. Coach Kleiman is 100% correct. Garrett Oakley is wide open. But here's the kicker. Avery never looked at him. From the snap, Avery never looked at him. You have multiple tight ends on that play. You have Will Swanson. I believe it was Will Swanson, who was trying to sneak out into the flat. And another thing, this was a long developing play outside of Oakley. Avery did not have much time. There was a breakdown on the blitz where John Pastore, he was too late trying to get to the blitzer, basically shoved the guy into Avery. Again, it was just another play that was a mess, but Avery never looked at Oakley. He could have got a pass off right down the middle and zipped it to Oakley wide open before he got more into the left flat, and the blitzer gets to Avery, but he never looked at him. I think Avery was too glued on what was going on to the right, never looked at Oakley. Maybe it needed more time to develop, but in that situation, you don't need plays that need 5 seconds to execute. And nobody was running towards the end zone other than, and more on the 3rd down play, which was even more of a disaster. Nobody was really running towards the end zone.
The 3rd down play, we went back and watched it. That made me, on the rewatch, way more angry than the 2nd down play. When you look at the personnel group that was in that game, it's not a winning recipe when you have guys like, and Dylan, I know injury, whatever, but even Joe Jackson had a really good game. He wasn't in the game. It was Devon Rice was the running back in the game. You had Isaac Cook, who, for me, I didn't really know who he was until a couple of weeks ago. It's probably me not being great in the media, but for all intents and purposes, didn't really know who he was. I think it was Lofton was the tight end in the game. Jerron Tibbs, not in the game. Jace Brown, not in the game. So you had a very also Blake Barnett was in the backfield. Didn't even mention him. He ran a route. Blake Barnett ran a route on that play. And that was this is the gotta have it play. And then to make all that worse, I think what should have been said before the snap was, Avery, if nothing's there, just slide down, take a couple yards loss, keep the clock moving, at least force Baylor to use one of their timeouts. So we don't get out of this completely scot-free where we don't even force them to call a single timeout. They can just take a couple of incompletions, and then all they need is, thanks to not a great kick / a great kickoff return from Baylor, they need about 20 yards to be in field goal position.
I think on one of those plays you got to run the football and make Baylor use a timeout. I mean, I have to go back and really break down Baylor's final drive with the game-winning field goal, and if they used a timeout, if they used 2 timeouts, on how that would have affected Baylor's situation because of the holding penalty. I thought that was going to screw Baylor, but they picked up enough yardage to get right back into field goal range. But what if they didn't have time? Like, it's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas, and Coach Climate even said that. There's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas. K-State didn't really win any of those situations. But again, that's another theme of this season. Woulda, coulda, shouldas. K-State's been in their own way for most of this season. Go ahead, Tim.
I just wonder with the choice. Like I said, I'm fine with the fact that you feel like you had a sure thing touchdown if it is executed correctly, drawn up for that second play. But part of me also thinks, with the execution issues that this team has had throughout a lot of the season, wouldn't it have been more prudent to be like, look, our main focus is to retake the lead with a field goal and either get them to burn off their timeouts or run the clock down as much as we can and then hand the ball over to our defense, which, yeah, they just had their worst drive of the game, but as a unit throughout the entire game have been the highlight for us so far.
Yeah, Dave Arand is not a great clock manager either.
No.
I would say. But Cats lose the game. They had a chance to win it on a game winner from Luis Rodriguez. What was the 56 yards? 56 yards. It gets blocked. Honestly,
he didn't have a chance.
Of everything, he had to kick a line dry. When I think about this game, like, that's one of the last things I honestly think about.
As a whole, special teams was kind of sneaky bad in this game.
It didn't sneak up on me.
Like, punting wasn't great from Simon, which...
Simon said it at the press conference today. He's like, look, I've had some good games. I've had some bad games, and he thought this game wasn't a good game for him.
He had 2 really good games in a row, and then not great against Baylor. Kickoff return, couple of them, I'm like, what are we doing? 5 yards deep into the end zone, bringing them out.
Yes, and you had Montario Elston back there as a freshman returning
Nearly
kicks.
fumbled it.
Nearly fumbled.
Well, in it, that was such a bang play, but he had one good return. Outside of that, special teams was pretty rough. And when you have a punter that, thanks to your offense, you always have to punt it from inside your own 20 quite a bit, yeah. And you're inconsistently kicking more than 40 yards, that's just another problem with special teams, with the exception of maybe one game, and Luis Rodriguez has been a disaster.
Return coverage has also been bad.
Yes.
Like that final
gifted them the
kick
35,
return,
40-yard line.
Yeah, it gave them an easy, they easily got into field goal range because of that return. So
they got a holding and still had a 53 yards. That's not like an easy kick, but it's not also an insane kick either.
No.
Well, and I noticed this today because Simon McClanahan never really comes in. We never really talked to the punter. I think he has small feet.
Oh, he's a small guy.
I think I honestly have the same size feet as Simon McClanahan, and there was a reason why I wasn't a punter or a kicker, especially a punter, because I got too much of a small foot to try to directly, impact the game by kicking a good punt. That my margin for error is a lot more than other guys that have bigger feet. I could be crazy, but I just thought he had small feet.
I wasn't looking at his feet, so I don't know. I can't help with that.
All right, let's take a break. Hey, we gotta wrap up hour one. When we come back, we'll try to quickly go through last week in the Big 12 after these words.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
K-State's homecoming game is this Saturday at Bill Snyder Family Stadium as K-State takes on the TCU Horned Frogs. Kickoff is set for 2:30. That means PowerCat Game Day, the biggest pregame show in the Big 12, will start at 10:30. PowerCat Game Day is brought to you by Prairie Land Partners, Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center, Culver's, and the McCain Performance Series. Listen to PowerCat Game Day on 101.5 K-Rock, News Radio KMAN, and online at PowerCatGameDay.com.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
When severe weather rolls in, every second counts, and we're here to keep you ahead of the storm. Count on us for the latest alerts, live updates, and real-time tracking to help protect you, your family, and your property. From heavy rain and damaging winds to hail and dangerous storms, we'll guide you through the changing conditions and keep you informed when it matters most. Powered by Candlewood Veterinary Clinic, Manhattan Wrecker, Hummel Tree Service, Tallgrass Windows, and Ozone Roofing.
For area high school scores, recaps, league standings, and coach interviews, check out Scoreboard Saturday at 8 a.m. during football and basketball season, including coverage of the Centennial League, NCKL, Big East League, Flint Hills League, and the Twin Valley League. Scoreboard Saturday on News Radio KMAN is powered by WTC Communications.
All right, let's get to this past weekend in the Big 12. Texas Tech thumps Houston 35-11. First time Tech has won their first 5 games since the 2013 season. That was a 7-0 start. I said 27-13, 35-11, a little bit better than I expected. Tech is probably the best team in the conference.
They're a wagon, man. I don't know. It's scary.
I asked this a couple of weeks ago on PowerCat Game Day. I asked the question, for the Big 12 championship, would you take Texas Tech or the field? I think most of you said the field. Would you now lean Texas Tech?
Especially with the recent Iowa State injuries. I said the field because of Iowa State. Now that their defense has been depleted.
That's a good point.
I just don't see anyone. I mean, I'm sure they'll probably lose one somewhere fluky, but they got stuff that no one else has.
Could you imagine a Texas Tech-Cincinnati Big 12 championship game? And Scott Satterfield saving his ass? I mean, what you're referencing, Jeremiah Cooper, John Tez Williams, two of their, they are the long, when it comes to the defense for Iowa State, for Matt Campbell, and the guys that have been around the longest, the leaders. They lost them both last week to knee injuries. Horrible luck there for Iowa State. Cincinnati beat Iowa State in Cincy 38-30. That final score. Iowa State trailed with 31-7. And Cincinnati, as you can tell, only scored 7 points in the second half. That's a classic, was able to hang on type of games. And now, that puts Cincinnati in the driver's seat to control their own destiny. Also thanks to that pulling one out of their backside in Lawrence to make it to Arlington.
Yeah, it's crazy. And would have never thought it. But that always seems to happen now with the Big 12. Last year was Arizona State.
Yep. A couple of other things I want to touch on here. Arizona, Oklahoma State. I know everybody was tuned in for this one. Arizona State wins the game at home 41-13, an easy cover. For now, the Wildcats, who are 4-1. Brent Brennan is now looking like a really good – I don't know if he looks like a really good coach. I will say, though, defensively, with making the change at defensive coordinator, what he did, he cleaned house, brought in new coordinators, and now, Gavin threw in this stat. It says Arizona – has still not allowed a passing touchdown this season.
Which is crazy. It's crazy. I will say, though, those 4 wins are nothing. And that includes their win against K-State.
Yeah. Yes, they don't have really anything too impressive, but 4 wins is 4 wins.
That's true.
TCU, Colorado. TCU wins it by 2 scores. They scored late, 35-21 that final. That's who K-State will have next. So the Horned Frogs come in with just 1 loss on the year. Colorado's up 14-0. But first time since at least 2000, TCU has won a game by at least 14 points after being down by at least 14 points, which is interesting. Did you watch any of that game?
A little bit, yeah. I think it's the second 14-0 lead that Colorado has blown this season. I believe that I read that.
Their issues, they turned over the ball a lot. Yeah. They were shooting themselves in the foot. And then, UCF is also a pretty banged-up team. KU goes down there. They had a strip sack inside the 5 that led to their go-ahead touchdown. Kansas now has 6 Big 12 Conference road victories since 2021. Believe it or not, Lance Leipold has turned this program into a winning team on the road, 27-20. K-State in not this week, not next week, but the week after is going to be in Lawrence. So K-State fans get to enjoy the streak for another 3 weeks, I guess.
Ugh, that's ugh. I won't think about it. That's ugh.
I should be there as just a member of the media. I don't plan on going.
You're not going?
No.
God, I wish I had a choice.
I kind of have a choice. Look,
I guess I could send Toby.
I don't want to be there when it happens.
We'll just send Cole and Toby. It'll be fine.
All right. Are we in now this phase of the season where it's just beat KU? Are we there now?
I mean, kinda.
You think it's bad now?
Welcome back to 2007.
Golly. All right, we got to take a break. Gavin's counting me down. When we come back, recorded interview earlier today with the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson. Coming up next, Wildcat Insider Hour 2 next. Whether it's game day or a night out with great live music, Bottle Cap Sports Bar delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen. At ESB Financial, we think it makes sense to pay you. That's right, get paid 5.04% annual percentage yield on balances up to $20,000 with our free Kasasa Cash checking account. We'll even refund your ATM fees nationwide, and the best part is there's no monthly service charges or minimum balances to keep. All you have to do to earn your rewards are a few simple things each month. The best part? These things make banking easier. Visit esbfinancial.com to learn more. Special terms may apply. ESB Financial, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Manhattan Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer. In order to widely publicize our job opportunities and outreach programs and organizations that regularly distribute information to job seekers or refers candidates to employers, please contact us about our employment contact list to receive the most current information about station vacancies. For more information or to be added to the list, please contact Manhattan Broadcasting Company at 785-776-1350. Visit us at 2414 Casement Road in Manhattan, Kansas, or email front desk at 1350kman.com.
KC in Duval for Monday Night Football. I'm Joe Ostrowski here to help you beat the books with the BetMGM Network. The Chiefs are 3.5-point road favorites at the Jaguars, but let's look at the total of 45.5. Yes, KC's offense exploded with the return of Worthy, but that was against a decimated Ravens defense. Under 45.5. I'm Joe Ostrowski from the BetMGM Network. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetMGM app today. Please gamble responsibly.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/play. That's ethos.com/play.
KS State Bank wants to be your bank. Find the solutions you've been looking for at ksstate.bank. KS State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. KMAN, Manhattan.
CBS News Brief. President Trump is indicating there are negotiations to end the government shutdown. He said he's talking to Democrats about health care and the continued subsidies they've been demanding.
There could be a great deal of pain, but up till now there hasn't been. I will say this, just hang in there because I think a lot of good things are going to happen. That's all I can say. I mean, I think a lot of good things could happen, and that could also pertain to health care.
Illinois sued today to stop the deployment of National Guard troops. Governor Pritzker says the influx of federal agents has already caused harm.
There was never an insurrection or an invasion on the ground that justified the deployment of the military to our American city.
Haley Ott reports from Jerusalem. Israelis are closely following the talks in Egypt on a U.S. peace plan for Gaza.
People have been taking to the streets here and demanding that their government do something, work to achieve this deal in order to bring the hostages home.
CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
Now, the latest news from the News Radio KMAN and Manhattan Mercury Newsroom.
Coming up, RCPD prepares for a national night out. A former correctional officer is arrested for allegedly stealing from an inmate, and it's National 4-H Week. Hello everyone, I'm Nathan Gaddy with local news. National Night Out will be celebrated by local authorities in Ogden Tuesday. Riley County Police Department Captain Scott Hijack told county commissioners Monday the annual event is designed to build partnerships between community and police.
There's going to be carnival games. We're going to be cooking up some hot dogs for everybody. There's going to be a cakewalk sponsored by Walmart. So there's going to be a lot of things going on. We'll have all of our specialty teams out there as well with their vehicles, so the community can come take a look at our stuff and hopefully have a good time and build some of that neighborhood spirit and unity.
This year's event will be at the Ogden Community Center from 5 to 8 p.m. Tuesday. In other business, RCPD Major Mark French thanked commissioners for approving CIP funds last week for the Riley County Jail.
That's a year ahead of what I was scheduled, so I think it's important for everybody to note that I do feel the board is doing everything it can at a time when we're holding an unprecedented amount of inmates. Last month for September, our ADP was 131.5. It'd be the largest we've ever held on a sustainable.
The inmate roster stood at 128 as of Monday, according to French. He says new cameras the board approved of last year also helped aid a recent internal investigation where contraband was being relocated at the jail.
So we would not have been able to do with that without the upgrades that you've been approving. So very much appreciated.
A report from the jail will be presented to the Riley County Law Board on October 20th. A former Wabunsee County correctional officer has been arrested following a probe by the Kansas Bureau of Investigation. Authorities say 48-year-old Jeffrey Patrick turned himself in Sunday at the Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office. He was arrested on a charge of mistreatment of a confined person. The KBI says Wabunsee County Sheriff's Office asked for help in May after learning a correctional officer may have been taking money from an inmate for personal use. The alleged incidents happened between March and May at the Wabunsee County Jail, where Patrick worked until he was fired in June. Investigators say no further details are being released. There's no place like Wamego in October. Louis Marin has more coverage from Saturday's Oztoberfest in Wamego.
It was an awesome weekend in Wamego. Oztoberfest was held on Saturday. The annual event celebrates everything Wizard of Oz, including the original 1900 novel by L. Frank Baum, the 1939 feature film, and even the new Wicked movies. There was also an outdoor market, costume contests for both young and old, and live entertainment. As part of Saturday's event, the Oz Museum unveiled new artifacts on display. With this year being the 40th anniversary of the movie Return to Oz, Museum Executive Director Clint Stevie talks about something from that movie visitors can expect to see.
A scary film, and so we wanted to make sure we had a scary piece from it, and our piece was the prosthetic parts for the wheelers, which, because of the name, obviously have wheels at the end of them. So we have two of the feet prosthetics and two of the hand prosthetics, and they have the wheels, and so we have the functional material that created that character for the 1985 film.
Stevie said as the museum heads into its off-season, they'll be doing many updates and searching for donors of artifacts to be unveiled at next year's Oztoberfest. You can find photos from the event in an upcoming print edition of the Mercury. Reporting in Wamego, Louis Marion, News Radio KMAN.
It's National 4-H Week, and members of Riley County's College Hill 4-H Club say the program is helping prepare them for the future, and they hope others will join too.
Sixth grader Anika Williams says the program builds confidence, and fifth grader Nora Ingram says anyone curious should check out a meeting.
You can come to one of our meetings to see how it runs as a guest, and we have a lot of projects for people who like different things. If you like Lego, we have the Lego project, or if you like photography or fashion review, or fiber arts, or woodworking, we have all of that, and it's very good for all those people with interests. But if you aren't so interested, that's okay.
To learn more about local 4-H clubs, contact the Raleigh County Extension Office. National 4-H Week continues through October 11th. Find news 24 hours a day at newsradiokman.com and themercury.com. Hour 2 of the Wildcat Insider is next on News Radio KMAN.
News is powered by Central National Bank with locations at the Walmart Supercenter and at College and Claflin. Central National Bank, member FDIC. News Radio KMAN weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 59 with an overcast. Going into tonight, 50% chance of thunderstorms are likely with cloudy skies and a low of around 50. Going into tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, then gradually becoming sunny later in the afternoon with a high near 66. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies with a low around 46. Wednesday, sunny skies with a high near 68 with calm winds becoming southeast around 5 miles an hour.
K-Man Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452. It's hour number 2 of Wildcat Insider. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson, Cole Dutchendorf with you until 6 o'clock. We got Chiefs pregame coming up. Monday Night Football, 2-2 Chiefs at the 3-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. They have been one of the best defenses in the NFL with takeaways and the 4th best rushing offense in the National Football League. So a test for the Chiefs tonight. That kickoff at 7:15. But we're here at the Veneer Football Complex to open up hour number 2 to speak with the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, after a heart-crushing, a blow to this team, a 35-34 loss to the Baylor Bears in Waco, Texas at McLean Stadium. Wyatt, first of all, I appreciate your time. Yeah, another tough pill to swallow, another one possession loss for this team.
Very much so, and they're getting harder and harder to take, aren't they? I think it's true for you and I and everybody associated with the program, the fan base. It's difficult when you're 2-4 when the expectations were so high. And I think this one is even maybe more so than some of the others because unlike at Arizona, I thought K-State did enough good things to have a real shot at winning the game. And you have a 31-17 lead and let it get away. And so that really, for me, just makes it bubble a little bit hotter, right? That's just the way I see it. I think it was a game that, had you said to me going in, K-State's going to score 34 points and have 500 yards in offense, I'd have said, write it down, I'll take it. But yet you fall short.
Yeah, this game was full of so many. It was an emotional roller coaster. I think you saw a lot of great things from both sides, and then maybe not so much many great things on both sides of the football. I want to ask you about the start for the offense. I think this is something we'd been begging to see all season long, and the team marches down the field and scores a touchdown in the first drive of the game. That was a very positive sign.
It was a very positive sign, and I think it gave them a lot of confidence. They did a lot of things. They had a good mix run and pass. They were doing a lot of really, really good things. And you get out on top on the road, that's a big deal. It's sometimes very difficult to do that. I look back on the game and think about all of the things that the offense accomplished in the game. That was one of the coolest things in getting off the deck that way. I mean that sincerely. I thought it gave them a chance. Unfortunately, again, they fall short. I'd take that kind of drive on the road every time just because they were I think they had 4 or 5 first downs in the drive. They just did a good job.
The offense had plenty of opportunities to bust open this game thanks to the defense. And I thought, and I'll ask you, did the defense play their best football in the first half with the back-to-back turnovers? They didn't allow Baylor to start out strong. Other than the first drive, that they hold them to a field goal. I thought that was a great start for the defense as well.
I did too. I think they were better in the first quarter than they were the second. I think they made some good adjustments in the second half. But I liked the start, especially the first period for them. I thought they were aggressive. I still think they can tackle better. I think they can still play better football. But again, this is probably true on both sides of the ball. Because of the heat, because of some injury issues, you saw Coach Kleiman use a bunch of guys. And when you do that, sometimes you drop off a little bit. And really, I didn't think we saw a whole lot of that. You know, guys like Joe Jackson have been through it before. I thought he played a really, really good game as an example. Would you rather have Dylan? Of course you would. But you know, you have to adjust. And I was really proud of the defense. It was hard with Trigg as a dude now. And that quick drive, the 3-play drive that got them right back in the thing, really hurt. But other than that, I thought the defense competed in a big way.
So I got to ask about maybe some of the management of the game. We saw K-State drive down the field at the end of the first half. Coach Kleiman decides not to take a timeout, which maybe they were bailed out thanks to the penalty from Baylor, and K-State's able to cash in and score a touchdown. But also, you know, with goal to go, it's under 2 minutes to go in the passing plays. You know, I just thought there were some moments in this game where clock management maybe it wasn't K-State's best work. I guess I'll ask you your opinion.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment. I think Coach at his presser today here did address the thing on the 1st and goal at the 4. The first play didn't work. They blew it up. Give Baylor some credit for that. But, you know, in those situations with the game right there in the palm of your hand, you got to figure out a way, right? And they get behind a little bit with the negative play on first down. That led to, you know, not being able to do anything other than kick the field goal. And you're not running much clock. So you're going to get questioned on that. There's no doubt. So I understand the thought. You know, it's interesting, too. I've even had people say they were so good on that initial drive that we talked about, but then they bring Barnett in right away after that. Why? Well, I'm not sure I have an answer for that. And those guys, you know a lot more football than I do. So I guess I'll just have to say, okay. But I understand why people are questioning the late game stuff without question about that.
What I thought was just so unfortunate for K-State was on that drive where K-State did have the goal to go under 2 minutes to go was the first play, the bomb to Jace Brown. Yeah. He catches it, and then the defender for Baylor rips his helmet off. And I guess according to the rule in that situation, you blow the play dead. You know, Chris Kleiman didn't exactly know. I personally don't exactly know what exactly the rules, but I know there was a rule change at some point where the helmet comes off, they can blow the play dead. You got to come off the field, things like that. If there's no penalty, I don't know. I just felt like if that is the rule, K-State was robbed of 6 points. I don't think in that situation the play should be blown dead.
Yeah, but I think, though, what the officiating crews would tell you, whether it's all of the white hats in the league or, you know, the people that are handling all those officials, safety is first and foremost always. And once that helmet is off, I understand why they feel like you got to stop it right there. But there's some, I don't know exactly on the rule either. I've been trying to, because of my day, I haven't had a chance to really look it up and study it yet. But somebody had said something to the effect of, when the helmet comes off, the play is automatically done. But if there is a face mask, then that changes. Okay, great. How does it change it? What now? I don't know the answer to that yet. I hope I can find that out here in the coming hours, or even if it's tomorrow. I want to know, because that was a big factor in the ballgame, no question.
And going back to maybe some of the play calling, some decision making, a lot of heat as well on K-State. On the play for Avery Johnson, it's a first down play. K-State's trying to drive to go back up, at least 12 points. They're up 6 at the moment, and Avery Johnson throws the pick 6. And I felt like I saw it coming when he let that ball go, because the safety made a tremendous play, but also just K-State passing the ball in that situation. I don't know, just all around, that was a really tough stretch for the Wildcats.
Well, it was. We had Avery on in the postgame, and I don't know if you had a chance to visit with him, or he addressed it in any kind of press conference that he would have had up and above and beyond the K-State Sports Network. But the way he described it for me is that they were just trying to put the nail in the coffin. And it probably was, a throw that he would love to have back. That's the obvious statement here. I would tell you, in studying Baylor and a lot,
Jacob Redding, number 38, who had the pick six, is one of those guys that can make plays. And he saw it, reacted to it. It was really frustrating that he kind of weaved his way down the field and got in there. It'd be one thing if you pick it off and you don't score, right? But unfortunately, it ended up in a pick six, and boy, that was a costly moment. And you know what? People are going to question that all day long when that happens. I think it was the 10th play of the drive, if I'm not mistaken, when that pick happened. I'll be honest with you, calling the game and having them do that in that scenario where they had closed the gap, I'm thinking, man, these guys are showing some intestinal fortitude here, man, right? And then this happens, and it turns the game in Baylor's favor.
Yeah, K-State picked up, if I remember correctly, on that drive, some really tough third downs.
Yes.
That's when they did pass the ball, and they were needing a lot of the time, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11 to get them, and they were picking up some tough third downs. And I thought that was great from Avery to put the ball in the money in most of those situations. I think you brought it up during the press conference. Avery, did he have his best game of the season?
For my money, he did. Even with the pick six, I think they're going to give him 5 more yards than what people see in the stat sheet because of I guess I'll call it a clerical error with the media relations people in Baylor, Waco. But 340 yards is a pretty good day at the office, and 500 total yards. I think he's running since the Arizona game. I think he's running a little bit more with purpose. Coach mentioned he's not going to run him, 12 to 15 times just to do it. But he's picking his times better from my perspective, getting what he can, all of those types of things. I thought he was rock solid. Again, would you like to have the pick six back? Of course, but you can't do that, and you got to. I think he's getting better, but it's difficult when you're 2-4, and maybe a lot of people say, well, shoot, they should be at least 4-2, if not 5-1. And that's probably fair.
I think he also brought up the offensive line, and he sparked a thought in my head about, especially somebody we talked to earlier today, Devin Vass, but also Gus Hawkins. They played more. I want to say they started the game. Devin did.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they're making a difference on the offensive line? Do you think they're playing a little bit better with being in the lineup?
I think the numbers will tell you that. I think the effort has been better. You go back to the off week, I think they were really challenged by the coaches to get more push in the run game. Devin has made a pretty good impact, I think. That first time out, he played both guard spots. This time he gets the start at right guard, and I think he responded. Really neat story and kid, by the way. He's another guy that's kind of bided his time, and when they've called on him, he's been pretty good. I love that. What I would say is, with he and Gus, just adding to the rotation certainly helps too. You want to have 7, 8, 9 guys that can really go, right? But it's a rarity that you really have that year in and year out. And this is a year where, going back to last year, there was some turnover. All things being equal, if I had Hadley Panzer back, I'd be a happy guy. But we don't, right? And so I think they've had to mix and match a little more than they wanted just because of some of the injury issues and what have you, and it's just the reality of it.
Our last thought about this last game and this start to the year defensively. What is this team missing the most right now from the defensive side of the football that's keeping them from getting over the hump and winning these one-score games?
Good question. I don't think there's an easy answer to it, Mitch, to be honest with you, because I don't think it's the same every week. In this particular game, you're going to give up some pass yards to those guys, and they did. But I thought they really competed in holding them in the run game down at about what they average, or maybe even a little less. Bryson Washington, I am the first to admit that he was dinged up, wasn't really sure that he was going to go, but he's a tough dude, and he was out there fighting his football crazy life, right? I was impressed with what he gave him, but I was also impressed in the same breath how K-State defended him, because he gets his shoulders square and he runs hard. I thought K-State really did a good job there. In this particular game, though, they turned him over a couple times, but needed one more. or whatever. Something that might have been a little bit more in helping flip the game in their favor.
All right, so we got TCU coming into town on Saturday. That they got Josh Hoover, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. They've had, you could maybe ask them, they may have had they think they have had a disappointing start to their year. I mean, they got upset by Arizona State a couple of weeks ago. That kind of was a bit of a shocker for them. They probably came in as the better team at the time. But I'll ask you just your thoughts on TCU coming into town and what they're going to bring to the table.
Well, I would say if you're going to win 4 out of every 5, which is what they've done to start, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape when it's all said and done. And that loss at Arizona State was one, and you're right, they let that one get away. They were up 17-0 and ended up losing the ball game. I don't think it's a great TCU team, but I think it's a good one. And you mentioned Hoover. He kind of makes them click. He had a terrific year last year throwing the ball. I mean, he threw for over 3,000 yards. Good football player. And they always have weapons around him. Their offensive line is solid. It isn't dominant, but good. I think they have a lot of running backs and a handful of receivers who are pretty good. The Manjack kid you'll remember from the University of Houston. A couple of other kids that transferred in have really helped. The Dwyer kid, and you're also going to like Eric McAllister, the kid from Boise. So they have talent. I think where they have struggled the most is trying to have a run game. They use 4 or 5 backs, but they're way more throw than run. If they come in here and they can't run very well, I think they had 94 rushing yards last week, K-State will win the game. I don't make many promises, but I think if they get less than 100 yards Saturday, I think K-State's going to win the ball game.
All right, Wyatt, appreciate it. You got a busy night tonight, don't you? KB Awards tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm kind of emceeing that, and it's just it's both radio, television, just announcing the winners of the large, medium, and small markets for all of those people that do such a great job covering news, weather, sports, information, service around the state, and it's a really cool, fun time.
All right, Wyatt, well, I appreciate you squeezing us in for a few moments to talk about the loss, and hopefully K-State now starts to get back on track being at home against TCU with Powercat Game Day 10:30 in the morning.
There you go, and it's homecoming, so let's go get one. I'm ready.
All right, thanks, Wyatt.
Yes, sir.
It's Wyatt Thompson, the voice of the Wildcats. We'll take a break, and we got more Wildcat Insider after a timeout on KMAN.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
Quality Collision is still open for business while they improve the intersection by the dam. Dodging a few orange cones is worth it to receive quality restoration. Keep your car looking as good as the day you bought it. Quality Collision, where quality is more than their name. It's a promise to their customers.
Connect to anywhere in the world with daily flights to Dallas and Chicago when you fly local with Manhattan Regional Airport. You'll spend less time driving, saving you gas and time. And more importantly, you'll get home quicker to the ones you love. Click your next flight at flymhk.com.
Don't just scream for ice cream. Get on down to Baskin-Robbins at Manhattan Marketplace and soothe that sweet tooth. It's hot out there and Baskin-Robbins is here to keep you cool. From cones and shakes to sundaes and cakes, Baskin-Robbins is what you need. Locally owned, a Streeter family business. Our family serving yours.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
This fall, Roberts Heating and Cooling wants to honor a veteran in need. Nominate your hometown hero, someone who's made a difference as a soldier and in your community. Each Friday, one will be named Hometown Hero of the Week, winning K-State football tickets from Manhattan Broadcasting, an oil change from Briggs, a $50 R.C. McGraw's gift card, and a t-shirt from Roberts Heating and Cooling. Weekly winners qualify for a full Champion Furnace and AC replacement, announced on Veterans Day. Nominate now at 1350kman.com. Just click the Hometown Heroes logo. Brought to you by Roberts Heating and Cooling and News Radio at KMAN. Restrictions apply. Homeowners only. Equipment must be installed at primary residence and is non-transferable.
James was diagnosed at 3 months old with neuroblastoma. We went from thinking we had a healthy 3-month-old little boy, all of a sudden he had this super serious cancer. It was heartbreaking. He had chemotherapy until he was just under a year old, and at that point he was in remission.
Went that way for a year and then relapsed February of 2023, and here we are 1 year later finishing up treatment, hopefully.
The research is extremely important. The treatments that they're developing here get shared with all the doctors to help treat children worldwide.
It's contributing something like one more piece of the puzzle to curing this horrible disease. We all want the same thing. We all want our children to live, have long, meaningful lives.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
America's hunters and target shooters, along with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, have invested more than $46 billion to help state fish and wildlife agencies manage and protect wildlife and wildlands across America. For more information, visit outdoorstewards.org.
If you've missed the Kim Komando Show, you've missed a lot.
I want to know how to change series name and voice.
You have to open up the Shortcuts app, select text, type "What can I do for you?" then the plus sign, then run a shortcut.
You got that, Ellen? Thanks for calling. I'm sure you're going to be able to do it in the next 5 minutes.
America's digital goddess,
Kim Komando, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Radio, KMAN.
I'm Gavin Hyatt with a Wildcat Insider sports update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. Kansas State saw Baylor's Caden Jenkins block a 56-yard field goal attempt by Luis Rodriguez with 5 seconds remaining, and the Wildcats suffered another narrow loss with a 35-34 defeat at McLean Stadium. Avery Johnson completed 29 of 45 passes for 339 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, and he also added 10 carries for 72 yards and 1 score. But his standout performance was overshadowed by a valiant comeback from Baylor, which stormed back from a 31-17 deficit to take the lead on Connor Hawkins' 53-yard field goal with 31 seconds left, ultimately giving the Wildcats their 4th one-score loss in a frustrating season. K-State's Ava LeGrand notched her 700th career assist, while Anaya Clinton recorded her 600th career kill in the Wildcats' 5-set victory over Cincinnati Friday night at Fifth Third Arena. K-State 9-3 saw 3 players post double-doubles in its 4th consecutive 5-set road match. The Wildcats tallied a season-high 79 kills with 3 players in double figures, while the defense held at 77-69 edge and digs with 5 players reaching double-digit totals. Despite being listed as questionable with ankle/shoulder surgery designations of the Kansas City Chiefs injury report on Sunday, wide receiver Xavier Worthy is expected to play tonight. The game kicks off at 7:15 tonight with pregame at 6 on News Radio KMAN.
Appreciate Gavin, that Wildcat Insider update. You were at the game, right? Gavin was at the game. He was in Waco this past Saturday. I'm going to ask him a question here in a second. He's got to take care of some business here first. Real quick, mentioned it during that interview with Wyatt. We brought up the Jace Brown play where K-State throws the deep ball. And by the way, Jace Brown, he finishes with 106 yards receiving on 4 catches and a touchdown. Garrett Oakley had a receiving touchdown. Avery Johnson, him alone, I mean, with his passing and then rushing yards, had over 400 yards of offense, 411 to be exact, and he counted for 3 touchdowns, 29 of 45 for 339, a career high. But Jace, there was a play in the 4th quarter, which was K-State's drive, where they had the goal-to-go situation with under 2 minutes to go, and they passed twice, and just 2 disaster of a plays. Before that, to kind of set it up, was a bomb to Jace Brown. Let me double check here on the yardage here. 48 yards on the play, but it was blown dead because the defender ripped the helmet off his head and then was called for a face mask, so tack on 15 yards. And Wyatt said it, I think we kind of all hear, because I've actually been searching through the NCAA playbook to find like the exact wording. That thing is longer than a Harry Potter book. It made me respect referees a lot more, because there's a lot of things they need to know. But from what I could find, basically states that in that situation, look, the player's helmet came off. He's the ball carrier. It doesn't matter if he has a walk-in touchdown after the helmet was ripped off his head. By rule, the play is blown dead. Now, I know there was an AI answer to that question being shared around social media. From what I could find, it doesn't matter, because of his helmet being ripped off, penalty or not, that the play is blown dead, which is just extremely unfortunate. The where it determines like a difference if there's a penalty or not is if Jace was able to stay in the game. There was a penalty, so Jace was able to stay in the game.
Yeah.
But that really sucked, because yes, the helmet was ripped off his head, which kind of is like, oh well, you expect teams to be like, oh, well, if we're in that situation, we'll just rip his head off and then just take the penalty and we'll live to see another day, instead of letting them just score a touchdown. Maybe if the kid didn't even go for it, high and try to rip the helmet off his head, that, Jace just gets tackled. I don't know. And Cole brought up maybe declining the penalty. A lot happening. It was a very unfortunate thing that K-State wasn't allowed to run in the touchdown, because there's too many, I think, instances in football in general where even if there isn't, even if the play is blown dead, there is an exception for what could happen in continuation. Like, oh, you pick up a fumble, but the play is blown dead. Oh, run it, go and run it to the other way anyway, because we've reviewed this and it's actually a fumble. Give us a touchdown or whatever. Or, at least we get the ball. There's just too many opportunities for a continuation of a play that was actually already blown dead. So I think there could be an amendment to the rule because of that situation. But it's K-State that is the victim of actually a positive play, which is kind of crazy.
I understand. You can't have someone running around a football field without a helmet. If someone had caught up to Jace Brown after that and laid him the you-know-what out, and he cracks his head open on the turf, then you've got a bigger problem.
Which could have happened, but I'm not sure it does.
No,
again, it's a judgment call by the referee. If the rule allowed that to happen, there's judgment that I guess comes into play. That's why the rule states that no matter what, the helmet comes off the ball carrier's head, the play is done.
Right. And
you're not even if you're not the ball carrier, your helmet comes off, you're not allowed to participate in the play anymore.
Right. And you're out for the next one too, right?
Yes, unless there's a penalty.
Yeah. So I get it. I'm not upset about that. I think that is a freak thing that happens. It's that's the thing. When you get into these one-score games, you're gonna have these uncontrollable weird things that happen that shape the outcome of a game. When you're playing on this kind of margin, you're just kind of stuck with that being an option. And so how do you avoid that being a huge play? Don't be within a touchdown late in the fourth quarter when you have a 2-touchdown lead to start the fourth quarter.
We really broke down this game earlier in the show, not just with Wyatt, but in our first hour, kind of by half. What happened in the first half, what happened in the second half. If you missed any of the show, check out the podcast. You can go to newsradiokman.com or just search for The Game on 1350 KMAN. Wherever you listen to your podcast, that includes Spotify. We're streaming live on YouTube. I appreciate those tuning in and watching us live. We haven't really talked about the defense at all, other than the first half where they created K-State's offense with a ton of opportunities. There was an opportunity if everything went extremely right to go up like 28-3, which, is a really tough thing to do. But Baylor defensively isn't a great defense. They're okay, They're like K-State. They're very inconsistent, but K-State is more talented on defense. You saw, man, like non-starters, second-string, third-string guys really step up. Nigel Thomas.
Yeah, huge.
I mean, he stepped up on. It was one series where he had a really great tackle, and then he forces a fumble. I was like, man, what an opportunity for that guy to step up and make some plays. Daniel Cobbs had an interception. Phenomenal stuff. I think Quay Moss is having a hell of a season. That pass interference on Quay in the final moments of that game, was that what set up Baylor for the field goal? Terrible call.
Yeah.
That was it would have been perfect coverage if Quay got his head turned around. Perfect coverage, but he didn't. There is sure, a little bit of contact, nothing that warranted pass interference. I thought that was a really bad call. But did K-State's defense cost K-State the game? I think to a certain extent. I mean, you could argue that.
Yeah.
I would argue as well, though. I mean, K-State's defense gave up 28 points in this game. Baylor, and for most of the game, had allowed just 17. Going into 10 minutes into the fourth quarter, K-State had allowed 14 points. I give credit where credit is due. Yes, the defense had its troubles stopping Baylor in certain drives, of course. Baylor had 3 drives. They scored under 2.5 minutes, and their tempo comes into play as well. They only went for it on fourth down, and that was one of my keys of the game. Like, Baylor is the most aggressive team in the country on fourth down. K-State's defense did not give Baylor many opportunities when they did have the ball and they didn't score to go for it on fourth down because they weren't close enough for Baylor to go for it. So I give them credit on that. Touchdown drives, there were a couple times they got picked apart. But I think more often than not, the defense played well and gave the offense chances to build a lead and go win the game, including holding Baylor to just that field goal, that go-ahead after the pick six. Like, they got this stop. It almost was enough to have them backed up far enough to get the stop, but it was bend but don't break for most of the game for the defense. The biggest issue was the tackling. But the secondary, they still haven't shown enough, like, across the board that they like to go hit somebody. Austin Romaine also had a very rough game. I would argue it's maybe his roughest game since becoming a starter. I should say at least like a full-time starter at the beginning of the year, which goes back to last year.
Yeah, no, I agree with most of what you said. I think that you face an offense like Baylor's where they have so many weapons. Luckily for K-State, they were a little banged up. They didn't have a full speed Bryson Washington, and that helps some. Michael Trigg is a monster, and there's just nothing that K-State had that was going to be able to fully stop him, and that's part of their 3-play, 87-yard, 1 minute and 20-second touchdown drive in the fourth quarter. He had a big part in that, but I think that especially from what we've seen from the K-State defense at points this season, very commendable performance. Because I think that if you looked at, after Army or after Arizona, you thought about this defense going up against a team like Baylor with the caliber of offense they had, you would have thought that they would have gotten boat raced. I mean, it would have been terrible. And they held them under their average in points, average in yards. Yeah, I mean, it comes back. It comes back mainly to the offense. You're gonna going up against an offense that good, you're gonna give up yards. You're gonna give up points. You gotta find a way to cash in when your defense gives you opportunities. And then the 3 opportunities that the defense gave, they got nothing. They got 0.
I think these two teams are more similar than not. Both have, defenses that I would say have been inconsistent offensively. They get in their own ways. They don't execute. Like, both fan bases want their quarterbacks to do more, as in run the football. And it's still going on with Sawyer Robertson. They're still begging him to run the ball more. And I think he ran it 3 times. And Baylor had just let me double check here, 3.7 yards per carry, 3.9 yards per carry in the game. K-State 4.5, thanks to Avery Johnson with 72 yards. Joe Jackson had 61. He was running the ball pretty hard, about 5 yards per carry. But both of these teams have ran into the same inconsistencies this year. The differences, though, are that Baylor turns the ball over more and they penalize themselves more. Like, Baylor was the team more often hurting themselves, believe it or not, putting themselves in worse situations with penalties and with turnovers. What's K-State's problem has been, I think, for the most part, coaching and execution. I think Baylor was a little bit more better in the coaching department, especially down the stretch. The dialed-up blitzes, I think, really come to mind to me, especially in those goal-to-go second and third downs. They were not going to allow K-State to run the football, and I think they were expecting K-State to run the football a little bit. Because of the clock management situation, they didn't. K-State had an opportunity on second down. The blitz comes. Avery never looks at Garrett Oakley's way. There was a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas, like Coach Kleiman said after the game. We'll hear from Coach in his press conference from today. We'll hear from him tomorrow. There's a lot of things to get to, reaction to after talking to the coaches, rewatching film, and then moving forward with this season. And Coach Kleiman, I thought, said a number of interesting things. That'll be coming up on tomorrow's show with the game. Coming up next, we'll get a K-State volleyball and soccer update, plus this week in the Big 12. Coming up, Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
WTC Fiber Internet is coming to all of Manhattan, bringing you blazing fast, reliable internet from your local provider. No contracts, no overage fees, and no installation costs. Whether you're streaming, working from home, gaming, or running a business, enjoy uninterrupted high-speed internet. Reserve your connection today at WTCKS.com. That's WTCKS.com. Fast, local, reliable. WTC Fiber Internet.
I'm Jim Morrison, and I'm asking for your vote for Manhattan City Commission. I've spent more than 50 years serving this community as an attorney, a volunteer, and a neighbor. My priorities are clear: fiscal responsibility, repairing and maintaining our streets, and keeping taxes reasonable. Manhattan deserves leadership that puts needs before wants. Your voice matters, so please make your plan to vote by mail or in person on November 4th. Together, we can build a stronger Manhattan. Morrison for City Commission. Mark Knockenduffel, Treasurer.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
As much as losses sting your heart, this one's going to hurt. It's always something to learn from.
So much coming into the season, and now here we are with Arch Manning, the Texas Longhorns, and it's yikes time as they get ready to play Oklahoma, who's been the better team clearly so far, with the Red River rivalry happening this Saturday. No matter what you thought about Arch Manning coming into the season, or what you thought about Arch Manning now, either way, it has been lackluster at best. Had he had his moments? Sure. But against the two biggest defenses on his plate this year, he didn't come up great against Ohio State, and boy, did he come up short versus a Florida team that only had one win coming in, but a defense has a bunch of filthy McNasties. And now you're going to go against a better defense and a better team in Oklahoma, even though they don't have their quarterback, John Mateer, but they still got a terrific football team. It proves one thing more than ever before. You can talk about this, and this for the season, but the season always tells the truth. Right now, that truth is not a good thing for Arch Manning and Texas. In 60 seconds, why not Baker Mayfield and the Bucs?
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments, including pills, chews, and more, 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form, and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, HIMS.com/JOY.
I'm giving this quarterback and this team this nickname, and I do it each and every day when I co-host a show with Harry Douglas called Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio, Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm calling Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Baker and the Bucks. Every time you turn around, they find a way to win those close games. First time in NFL history that a team has won their first 4 games in the final minute of a game, and they were this close to finding a way to be 5-0 before they lost another close game to the Philadelphia Eagles. Baker Mayfield, for my money right now, is playing quarterback better than anybody in the National Football League. It doesn't matter who's there or who's not there. He makes it work against pretty good defense that he's gone against so far in the NFL regular season. If they keep this up, it could go from Baker and the Bucks to Baker in the Super Bowl. Remember, you've been warned. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio's Freddie and Harry.
The Cats play on News Radio KMAN. To the 10, 5, to the goal line, touchdown, Dylan Edwards. This is the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson. Join me, Stan Weber, and Matt Walters for every game this K-State football season as the Cats challenge for a Big 12 title. Coverage begins 4 hours before kickoff with PowerCat Game Day on the flagship of the K-State Sports Network, News Radio KMAN. What a play for the Wildcats!
News Radio KMAN weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 59 with overcast. Going into tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorms are at about 50% with cloudy skies and a low of around 50. Going into tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, then gradually becoming sunny in the afternoon with a high near 66. Tuesday night, mostly clear skies and a low around 66. Going into Wednesday, sunny skies and a high near 68. Wednesday night, mostly cloudy skies, a low of around 54.
Hey! Well, we're still, let's see, where's the countdown now? 29 days? I think it's 29 days.
I believe
From
so.
men's basketball exhibition in Mizzou. I think it's 29 days away. October 24th. Hold on a second. I'm getting my days mixed up. 30 days from the opener. Well, no, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Because K-State put out a tweet like 30 days until this. I was trying to make sense of it. But no, the exhibition is coming up on October 24th. They have a Halloween, and gosh dang it, technically the opener at home, which is an exhibition, it's going to be on Halloween, and they set the game for 7 o'clock. Who's going to want to go to that?
Wrong. Bad.
Annoying. Anyway. But it's an exhibition. If it was a regular season game, against whoever, maybe there's a change. I don't know. I think who are we playing? Newman? I don't even remember.
Newman.
Maybe they needed it. They needed it at 7 o'clock. I don't know. But let's talk a little K-State volleyball, K-State soccer here real quick. I'll go quick on soccer. Another draw at UCF, 0-0. That was yesterday. Thursday, they get thumped by Kansas after taking the lead. And unfortunately, I feel like this is just what Big 12 play is going to be like for this team this year. I am liking, the mood from Colleen Corbin that, she's a little pissed off that they're not playing at a better level. She is, holding the team accountable, holding herself accountable. I just don't think that's going to really turn into a whole lot of wins just quite yet because they still have a really tough schedule to go. And still, being winless in the Big 12, like K-State is now over 2 years, like 2 calendar years without winning a Big 12 matchup, which is crazy. Thought they were close to getting it done against TCU. That would have been amazing. But K-State now with 2 points in the Big 12 standings. There's a lot more work to do if they want to make it to the Big 12 tournament. For volleyball, really nice bounce back week for volleyball to get wins number 8 and 9 in the year. 2 5-set wins on the road, beating West Virginia in 5 and Cincinnati in 5. The big note from the West Virginia matchup is Shaylee Myers. She had 34 kills on the night. That is a new program record in the rally scoring era for K-State. She has been a phenomenal player, like first team all Big 12 type of player. I think she still leads the Big 12 in kills per set.
I believe so too, and it's accurate. She's been on target for most of the time. Her hitting percentages have been crazy.
K-State will be playing at Morgan Family Arena against Iowa State on Wednesday. Tune in tomorrow. I will have tickets to give away for that matchup again tomorrow. K-State Volleyball, Iowa State Farmageddon Volleyball Edition at Morgan Family Arena. I'll be giving away those tickets tomorrow on tomorrow's show. Let's take a break, and we'll wrap it up next. This week in the Big 12, next on the game, or Wildcat Insider, excuse me.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Join the original influencers, influencing for over 60 years, and discover how you can turn your passion for media and sales into a rewarding career. Manhattan Broadcasting is looking for creative, hardworking individuals who have a passion for helping businesses grow through traditional and digital marketing platforms. Qualified candidates should be creative, great at building relationships, and most of all, success-driven. Apply now with the top-rated media company, Manhattan Broadcasting. Send your resume to jobs@manhattanbroadcasting.com. Our client success is your success.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
Medicare's annual enrollment is here, October 15th through December 7th. It's your chance to review or change your prescription drug plan. Premiums, copays, and even which medications are covered can change every year. Don't risk paying more or having your prescriptions left out. I'm Malia McKinney with L&L Advisors. I'll compare your plans side by side to make sure your medications are covered at the best cost. Local, genuine, and here for you. Call 785-280-9621 today.
Buck Roofing focuses on customer service by responding to the roofing concerns of residential and commercial properties with the utmost professional service for nearly 20 years. Call for a free no-obligation estimate at 785-230-9379.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within. Over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
NHL star Matt Martin for American Humane.
I've had my fair share of bruises and injuries. But for many who put their lives on the line every day, it's not always the injuries you can see that hurt the most. Every single day, 184 veterans are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. When medications and therapy don't help, professionally trained service dogs can. American Humane has created a free guide to help veterans obtain these life-saving animals. For help, please go to AmericanHumane.org.
The Ramsey Show.
How do I protect myself from inheriting a timeshare?
So basically a timeshare is a liability. It's a bill. So you're not going to end up owning this because you won't sign the transfer papers. They may take some of the parents' assets because it's very hard to get rid of. And one lawyer calls it legalized fraud. You can't give us enough money to take it. It's a poison pill.
Life and money advice. The Ramsey Show, weekdays from 10 to 1 on News Radio KMAN.
I'm Gavin Hyatt with a Wildcat Insider Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. Kansas State saw Baylor's Caden Jenkins block a 56-yard field goal attempt by Luis Rodriguez with 5 seconds remaining, and the Wildcats suffered another narrow loss with a 35-34 defeat at McLean Stadium. Baylor's comeback was keyed by one of the rare mistakes of the game by Johnson, whose pass up the middle to wide receiver Jerron Tibbs was intercepted by Jacob Redding, and his 66-yard return gave the Bears a 32-31 lead with 4:28 left in the fourth quarter. On the ensuing drive, the Wildcats weren't able to get the ball into the end zone inside the 10 and use a Rodriguez 22-yard field goal to take a 34-32 lead with 1:48 left. Sawyer Robertson drove the Bears into Wildcat territory, ending in Hawkins' decisive 53-yard field goal, which proved to be enough to keep the Wildcats winless on the road. Playing through persistent rain for majority of the second half, K-State held strong and worked out a 0-0 draw at UCF on Sunday afternoon at the UCF Soccer and Track Complex. With the shutout, K-State has set the school record for shutouts in a season with its 7th. Despite being listed as questionable with ankle/shoulder surgery on the Kansas City Chiefs injury report on Sunday, wide receiver Avery Withery is expected to play tonight at the 2-2 Chiefs travel to Florida. The game kicks off at 7:15 tonight with pregame at 6 on News Radio KMAN.
All right, we take a look at this week in the Big 12. Couple of 11 a.m. games. UCF at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's 11.5-point favorite. They're looking to go 3-0 in Big 12 play. UCF is winless. They are, no doubt about it, the worst team in their transition to the conference. 11 a.m. on FS1, followed by, as well at 11 a.m. on TNT and HBO Max. Houston, Oklahoma State. Nobody's going to watch this. 14.5-point the margin for Houston. Oklahoma State, do they go winless again in conference play, Tim?
Yes, I think so. That's just real bad.
To the 2:30 window, that's when K-State will play TCU. Right now, K-State is the favorite, a 1.5-point favorite against the Horned Frogs. Despite K-State being 2-4, TCU was 4-1. Their early loss to Arizona State, but that was a comeback for Arizona State. TCU should probably be 5-0. But this game is going to be on Fox. Meanwhile, at 2:30, you got number 22 Iowa State at Colorado. Do the Cyclones, do they bounce back in a road trip to Colorado after losing to Cincinnati on the road?
It is a tough place to have to go bounce back, but I think they're going to be able to do it. I like them. I like them to figure some stuff out, maybe find some better answers for the back half of their defense.
The Jayhawks at 6:30 on Fox. This will follow K-State TCU before their bye week, and then K-State they host in Lawrence. Number 9 Texas Tech is going to host KU. Tech is a 13.5-point favorite. Tech is perfect 5-0 and 2-0 in Big 12 play.
13.5 is a lot of points, especially KU. If they can do anything, is they can score. But again, in the trenches, Tech is different. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Jalen Daniels through 6 games. He has thrown 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 1,500 yards. Their defense, though, has been, I think, a bit of a letdown these last, I would say, 2.5 games. But we got 2 fascinating games. First of all, number 18 BYU is at Arizona on ESPN at 7. But I think the truly fascinating matchup this weekend, number 21 Arizona State is at Utah. It is a 9:15 game, Big 12 After Dark on ESPN. That reminds me of last between K-State and Colorado. Just a really fascinating, could be going either way, Big 12 After Dark type of game.
And it's a Pac-12 After Dark match. 2 old Pac-12 foes matching up. The juice will be there in Rice-Eccles Stadium for sure.
Utah will be going to that game as a 5.5-point favorite. BYU going to Arizona as just a 1.5-point favorite. Yes, they're 4-1, and I'll give them credit to win 4 games so far. I'm still not sure Arizona is a great team. I think they have good defense. Offensively, they do have no Fafita. As long as he takes care of the football, they have a chance. But is BYU the better team? Is this where BYU gets tripped up? Is this a trap game for the Cougars?
I don't think so. Mainly because I don't think much of Arizona's home atmosphere. I'll take the Cougs.
That's going to wrap it up for Wildcat Insider. We got the game tomorrow from 4 to 6. I want to thank Tim for his time here on the show. The voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson, who's about to host the KEB Awards here in town. It's going to wrap it up For Gavin, Cole, Tim, I'm Mitch. Talk to you tomorrow. Go Cats.
Getting you closer to the locker room than anyone else. This is Wildcat Insider. Wildcat Insider, an exclusive presentation of the flagship station of the K-State Sports Network. News Radio 1350, KMAN. KS State Bank offers convenient services to help make life a little easier.